Yes, pilgrims set to celebrate Martyrs Day in Namugongo scientifically as General Katumba discharged from hospital. Welcome to News Tonight. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. Yusuf Senyomo is a gentleman that joined us for sign language tonight. The outgoing Prime Minister Dr. Namugongo has urged the public to be vigilant and cooperate with the security in order to curb criminal elements in the society. His comments follow the assassination attempts on the life of General Edward Katumba Wamala along Chisota Road in Kulambiro, a Kampala suburb. The Prime Minister made the remarks as he visited the General Katumba Wamala shortly before he was discharged from Medipal Hospital this Wednesday afternoon.
Former Works Minister General Katumba Wamala has this afternoon been discharged from Medipal Hospital, where he has been receiving treatment. He commended all those that supported him during the ordeal.
I want to give thanks to, first of all, as I said, the medical team here, Mediplan, for how they received me and how they have handled me all the time. I give thanks to the Malcolm X team, which stabilized me from the scene of crime. And I also want to thank the Boda boy, the guy who volunteered to take me to the hospital, because he even reached a level of saying, if you don't jump on it, I'll force you to get on the Boda. So I want to thank him. So thank you very much, people. Thank you. And I want to thank all the Ugandans. I thank the Ugandans. I thank right from my president for being there for me every time, giving me calls and sending messages. I really appreciate it.
Early in the day, the Prime Minister, Dr. Namugongo, paid a visit to General Katumba Wamala at Medipal International Hospital. During his commiserations to the former CDF, Dr. Namugongo urged the public to be vigilant and provide necessary support to security efforts aimed at punishing the criminals.
We are really asking all Ugandans to be vigilant so that the criminal elements that carried out this heinous crime are followed, are detected, are identified.
The Prime Minister of the Buganda Kingdom, Charles Peter Mayiga, also paid a visit to the hospital to sympathize with General Katumba.
It's a very traumatic situation for him, and of course, he narrowly escaped death himself. So I came here to give him support and encouragement.
Peter Mayiga urged the government to investigate the matter.
The public would like to see the perpetrators of these crimes, these rampant assassinations and attempted assassinations, being charged, being brought in the courts of law, being tried.
Mityana Municipality MP Francis Zake also visited General in the hospital.
When I was sick about what happened in Parliament, he came and checked on me. No matter what had happened, you know, he came and checked on me. He wished me a quick recovery, and about whatever happened, we just, you know, left it right there. So that's why I also had to make the same gesture.
Others who visited Katumba at the hospital before he was discharged included the outgoing minister without portfolio, Karoro Kurut, ministers Esther Mpayo, Persis Namugongo, and the former presidential candidate Major General Mugisa Muntu, among several others. They all condemned the criminal acts against General Katumba, his daughter, and the driver, both of whom died on the spot.
Because the most worrying thing is that we have had so many high-profile assassinations and attempted assassinations, and the capability to investigate, get the criminals, try them, charge them, sentence them, because that's also a deterrence. We have not seen any happen. So again, the government really has to think.
The act is highly regrettable, and I condemn all those who really did such an act. Why should one want really to put out of action one of the generals who joined the struggle?
We are happy that this general is getting better. But the trauma of losing his daughter
General Katumba Wamala survived an assassination attempt on Tuesday along Kisota-Kulambira Road in Kampala. Philip Aguta, UBC News in Kampala.
Hundreds of dignitaries and other people from other walks of life gathered at General Edward Katumba Wamala's home in Nigeria, Kulambiro, for prayers of the General's daughter, the late now Brenda Nantongo, who was killed on Tuesday morning. The prayers led by Right Reverend Chitolu Walida with the message of hope that we'll surely meet our beloved that we lost. Among those that attended was the CDF General David Muhoozi, former Speaker of Parliament Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, the NRM Secretary General Kasule Lumumba, ministers, among others.
Mama, never going to remember the horribles. The about Quara, but that's why the class. The Martyrs, the Battle, Mewa Mavanga, relatively. Mewa Mavanga, waiting to avoid me. Where we back, where we back.
Social distancing, please.
Mewa Mavanga,
We have enough time.
Mewa Mavanga. Kagamba okutera okugamba n'osembera n'ogamba nti mmanyi kye muyitamu. Ekigambo ekyo kizibu nze ntya okukyogera. Waazo ow'okukaaba omusajja takaaba. Yeno waba omusajja ate nga mwawule ate tokaabira ddala. Naye Sakosatu mutano ti Yesu byonna abimanyi. Mwe mutuule temufaayo. Remain seated. As we do that, we want to be still considerate of the SOPs. So you remain seated.
That is at the home of General Edward Katumba Wamala, where prayers are being held for the soul of his daughter Brenda Nantongo Wamala. We'll give you more details to that story in our subsequent news. Kololo Independence Ceremonial Grounds in other news is a beehive of activities as people turn up in large numbers to get vaccinated against the coronavirus. Principal epidemiologist at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Daniel Chabayinze, confirms that they handle between 4,000 to 6,000 people per day.
In March this year, when government started vaccination against COVID-19, with priority groups being those considered to be at high risk of contracting the virus, there was some kind of laxity among the population. It has taken the Ministry of Health a lot of effort to educate the public about the benefits of taking COVID-19 vaccine. Now the outbreak of the second wave of COVID-19 that has seen a rise in new infections and deaths has opened people's minds, and many have embraced vaccination. The Ministry of Health shifted its COVID-19 vaccination center to Kololo ceremonial grounds due to overwhelming numbers, and here people are increasing day by day.
This exercise started 3 days ago, and the numbers have kept doubling over time. We have so far, this is around the time when we have the third wave of the pavilion filling and being emptied. We've received especially children, people between 25 and 40 years, more women than others.
Principal epidemiologist at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Daniel Chabayinze, confirms that between 4,000 to 6,000 people are vaccinated daily, although they have capacity to handle 20,000 people per day.
What you're seeing is half the pavilion. We have had these pavilions full since morning. So you see, because we have 40 nurses vaccinating one
patient per minute. So we can vaccinate 40 people in 1 minute, and then 1 minute to register. So in 2 minutes we are processing one person. So in every 20 people are being processed per minute.
However, the public has been warned to take note of criminals using the opportunity of crowds to extort money from people seeking vaccination services.
We've seen and we've gotten concrete reports that some conmen have walked into the ground and they are going and trying to seduce people and solicit for, let us help you get the vaccine quickly, let us help you get your registration quickly. And we had not been suspected, but people have started reporting to us and we are going to follow those up.
Although people are questioning why even vaccinated people get infected with COVID-19, health experts explain that the benefit of the vaccine is to prevent severe form of infection. Adiana Kuti, UBC.
Namugongo district's fishing communities have been gifted with 29 billion shillings for construction of schools in the area. Iceland ambassador to Uganda, Anur Oraditor, says the money is enough to build at least 6 schools for fishing communities in 3 sub-counties. This was at the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of one of the schools.
Namugongo district of Busoga sub-region is dominated by fishing communities, faced with a challenge of accessing good schools. It is for this reason that the government, with support from the Republic of Iceland, is financing the construction of 6 schools in the sub-counties of Banda, Mutumba and Buhenga respectively.
Generous support amounting to $8 million. Thank you so much. The district is very grateful, for we have already received the following: 2 new motorboats with engine horsepower 40.
Construction of the schools is also aimed at improving performance of learners who have often walked for long distances, crossing Lake Victoria, maneuvered through wetlands and forests in search of good education.
Has been lack of toilet facilities, latrines. You find that we have some schools where the staff shares a pit latrine with the girl child. A girl child is very delicate. She needs her privacy, and especially when they are in their periods.
This is a school which is 40 kilometers away from the district, but we don't even have a single teacher's quarters. So even my teachers find it difficult to travel to school.
We don't have enough classrooms. We also now lack staff quarters, among others. We don't have enough science laboratories to enhance the teaching of science subjects. We don't have the computer lab to enhance the computer teaching, and many others. So really, there's need.
The ambassador of Iceland to Uganda, Anna Oradotaramed, says poor standards of education in Namugongo district is attributed to people's lifestyles as fishers.
2021 to 2023. Namugongo district will receive development assistance from Iceland to implement a program aimed at reducing poverty and facilitating improvements in livelihood and living conditions of poor populations in fishing communities of the district.
Former Lands Minister, also woman member of Parliament for Bukono County, Persis Namuganza, promised to ensure that learners in the district get a conducive learning environment to boost their chances for academic excellence.
Two security guards attached to SGA Security Group were shot at last night and their bodies found dead lying in a flower garden in Wankoko Zone, Nakawa Division. It is alleged that the cause of the shooting was because due to KCCA land contested by 2 city tycoons. The shooting happened on the heels of the attempted murder of General Edward Katumba Wamala.
We went to work, but on coming back from duty, to cut everything short, we heard that there were two people, which were our colleagues, but it was not the same company. It was SGA company. They were two, and they were all male, so they were shot dead. Information that the two people are dead and they are under SGA security company.
So when you got there, what was the situation? What could you say?
The situation was very bad because I can't even explain. They were dead bodies.
A challenge here of this land, where Mandela is fighting with some other members and some other people about the ownership of this very land where we are at one point. Now, they keep on coming here telling us people should leave this place, that is their land, but they don't have particular documents. What we are requesting is Kampala's land board chairman and the committee to come and tell the country who has the title of this land, who got the sublease, who owns it. Otherwise, we shall keep on moving in the circles.
Months ago, I received a team of young people at my home requesting me to come and fight for them over their land they have been using for quite a number of years. And they said this is their only source of income. And therefore, as a leader, I should come and assist them retain their land. When I came here, I found police here, and I found a team of young people trying to put up a fence. And I did request for a holding permit, and they could not avail it to me. I found other surveyors here of, I think, I don't know the origin, but they were trying to survey here. And I told them to show me the proof that this is their land, and they couldn't. So I called the DPC, and I requested the DPC that since these people have no documentation at all, they should vacate the site. And he retrieved his team of security people, and the site stays as it was. Later, on coming back, I found one Kamwani with a team of young people who work from here. And he showed me a letter of written by the Secretary of Land Board of Kampala. And it was saying that there is a case, there was a double allocation on this land and that investigation should be carried out. Here I realized that the contention was between one Mandela and one Kamwani. Kamwani is very, very common in land grabbing. Request to have an audit on cases here, this land board. It's very, very pertinent. They have often given, land twice, and lots of monies of cases here has been expended through maybe legal means, and they have not won any case pertaining to land grabbing.
The three-day induction for legislators of the 11th Parliament has ended. While officiating at the closure of the induction, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, urged MPs to make use of their offices to develop the country than engaging in politicking.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among Anet, has asked the new MPs to get to work in fulfillment of the election to the House.
When we are in Parliament, we are representing the nation. We are not representing the person.
While officiating at the closure of the induction of the 11th Parliament, Among promised good cooperation between her office and MPs.
That 11th Parliament has started with a very good momentum. And because of that good momentum, we should make sure we make the 11th Parliament a parliament to be a parliament of the people of Uganda.
Jacob Oboth, one of the facilitators, said the three-day session has been a success.
Very, very revealing, and I've seen the number of MPs who have come. It gives me confidence that this parliament, if they maintain the zeal, it would be different. The debate will be different, will be more engaging, people will be issue-based, we minimize the politicking, and we serve this country.
At the same event, the outgoing Minister for Health, Dr. Jenutha Cheng, cautioned legislators against flouting COVID-19 SOPs that might lead them into acquiring the deadly COVID-19 pandemic that has in the past claimed fellow MPs.
And Honorable Chair, even when we are speaking here, the mask should be on. I have seen a tendency of people removing the mask so that they can be heard. but learn to use the mask, because when you speak here, even the air is saturated with the virus. And the next speaker coming is very welcome.
Legislators who spoke to UBC TV expressed optimism to deliberate with decorum.
I want to pledge to my people of Gendera and all Ugandans that we are going to legislate, we are going to be effective to this nation, that much as I am representing Gendera, but I am there as a national figure. I'm there for the nation.
First of all, as we come to Parliament, you are a representation of the many who are left in the villages or in the district there. And one of the things that would help me to do it, one, of course, going back to the people, you collect their views, then you come with it to Parliament.
I will strongly represent all the ideas and the interests of my bosses and the voters of Bale constituency, Kayunga district, Bugerere, so that we suit and benefit our interests as a whole and the country.
And then you must also address Parliament with decorum and respect. So it's more to do with substance, helping the people, being the voice of those people, because the Parliament is a national parliament. So I'm supposed to be in Parliament and speaking the voice of Ugandans.
Bernard Higa, Parliament.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has reiterated government's commitment to salary enhancement for medical practitioners and scientists in general, saying that the movement government is focused on developing Uganda using a science-led development strategy. He made the commitment yesterday afternoon while meeting members of the Uganda Medical Association, led by the UMA Vice President Dr. Ataro Stephen Ayela, who called on him at State House Entebbe. He was accompanied by the UMA Secretary General Dr. Mukuzi Muhereza, the head of medical interns Dr. Nabwiri Irene, the Secretary General of the Federation of Medical Interns Dr. Faith Namugongo, and the former Director General of Medical Services Professor Francis Omaswa, among others. President Museveni said that his government will continue to improve the training and remuneration budget for the scientists so that the country can be able to train and retain the scientists that are crucial for the development and sustainability of the country. He called on the National Council for Higher Education to advise government on the type of scientists the country needs most and ensure that those are the ones institutions of higher learning should produce. On medical professionals, the president reaffirmed government's position to pay doctors 5 million shillings as their starting salary and also proposed an enhanced pay for intern doctors. He advised the intern doctors and other health workers to always take the line of dialogue when advocating for their rights and assured them that he is always ready to engage in dialogue with the medical professionals because of the importance of their profession and service they render to the population. In their memorandum, read by Professor Francis Omaswa, members of the Uganda Medical Association decried the bad living condition and poor remuneration of their members, especially the intern doctors. They attributed it to the inability by medical facilities to absorb the big number of medical students coming out of different universities in the country. They called for regulated enrollment of students in medical training institutions with focus on the medical needs of the country. The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Twine, and the Director General of Medical Services, Dr. Henry Mwebesa, also attended the meeting. Dokolo District Inspector of Schools Maurice Odunga Omara has urged stakeholders to embrace e-learning to ensure continuity. He was speaking during a workshop to commemorate International Children's Day in Lira.
In March last year, all schools in Uganda were closed in the wake of COVID-19 outbreak. Reports indicate that this resulted into redundancy and idleness that so many children drop out of school due to lack of engagement during the long holiday. Some schools and parents invested in e-learning to continue training their children, while others ceased learning completely. Experts are now advising all schools to embrace e-learning for continuity of training students.
The era of COVID-19 has exposed us to new challenges that made it almost impossible for learning to take place within class. And yet the need for learning has never ceased. There has always been a need for our children to learn and progress with their education.
While speaking during the International Children's Day workshop organized by Alliance for Youth Education in Lira, the inspector of school for Dohlo district, Maurice Odong, said there are still insufficient skills to use e-learning system.
And yet the COVID-19 pandemic meant that if learning is not done with care, we could actually lose lives. I appeal to students to embrace the training that is being done so that we can embrace technology and learn in the safest way possible.
50 secondary school teachers, including those from Lira Town College, Agalisid Secondary School and St. Catherine Girls Secondary School, among others, were trained in the use and role of digital tools to the lives of children. This is meant to build stronger education system in disadvantaged communities for inclusive and equitable quality learning. Ediolwa for UBC News in Lira City.
Only 200 people will be allowed to physically go for this year's Martyrs pilgrimage at Namugongo Shrine due for this Thursday. The promoter of devotions at Namugongo Martyrs Shrine says the rest of the population will follow the event on television, radio and other media platforms.
Flock Namugongo Martyrs Shrine every 3rd of June annually for the Martyrs Day celebrations, but due to COVID-19, the celebrations this year will be held with strict observance of health guidelines. Normally, roads that lead to the shrine are usually flooded with thousands of pilgrims, but this time the situation was different, and on our way to the shrine, we met a few pilgrims who were trying to make their way to the shrine. However, they were forced to pray from outside as gates were already manned with padlocks.
As a believer, I have to believe that wherever I will be able to access the Uganda Martyrs. That's why when we came here, we stopped outside the church and we did not enter. So, just reaching here, I'm contented.
Only 200 invited pilgrims are expected to attend this year's celebrations.
This here is almost a week before. It's always, it gets full and full and full. And on the last day, it is extremely full. Unlike today and most like unlike tomorrow, because only those invited 200 people will be in this place. You can imagine all this vast place to have only 200 people.
In an impromptu visit to the shrine, only members of the choir were seen preparing for the Martyrs Day slated for this Saturday. The promoter of devotions at Uganda Martyrs Shrine, Reverend Father Joseph Mukasa Muonge, said the decision was made to stop the spread of COVID-19, and the 200 people will include priests, government officials and others, while the rest will follow the event on television.
Only a few will be able to participate in the celebrations at Namugongo physically. He clearly puts it that let the rest follow the programs on the TVs like this our lovely one, on radios and through other media channels.
Meanwhile, vendors around Namugongo Shrine say that the expectations for making money like before has been evaporated following the adjustment due to COVID-19, and others were seen just seated with nothing much to do.
Of that, we receive so many clients in, so many. So in those days, you can make money for more than a month in just 5 days. So which is affecting us right now.
Plus naye kali sazi lero okola sente mitwalo 3.5 bwezi tunovanga yatona chokozechi chokusinza boba obazo okuspendinga.
The Namugongo shrines were first recognized by Joshua Serufusa Zake around 1884 on 25th of June 1985 when he was the Sabadu of Kira sub-county and constructed a structure at the Namugongo sites where it appears shrines were built later for prayer. With less than 24 hours to commemorate Uganda Martyrs Day here at Namugongo Martyrs Shrine, only 200 people will be allowed to access this place, which has a capacity of 3 million people, as the way of combating COVID-19. Sadam Mubale, UBC News at Namugongo Martyrs Shrine in Kampala.
Thank you so much for watching. Now, we will take you back to General Edward Katumba Wamala's home in Nigeria, where vigil is being held to pray for the soul of her daughter, the late now Brenda Nantongo Wamala. During the funeral service, General Edward Katumba Wamala gave an ordeal narrating what transpired at the scene of crime, where there was an attempt to assassinate him.
Mama, distancing, please. We have enough time. Okutera okugamba n'osembera n'ogamba nti manyi kyemuyitamu ekigambo ekyo kizibu nze ntya okukyogera. Wazo ow'okukaaba omusajja takaaba ye ne waba omusajja ate nga mwawule ate tokaabira ddala naye mutano Yesu byonna abimanyi. Mwe mutuule temufaayo. Remain seated. As we do that, we want to be still considerate of the SOPs. So you remain seated. Before we spent the whole day crying together, Nakawira Mama, Jaja food the day before, not knowing I would spend the next day crying for you alone. We have talked about your dreams, your plans to have kids and start a family. We made plans for when I come. You are such a beautiful soul, so peaceful, so loving, always wanting everything to be okay for everybody. I keep saying you are the nice one. Actually, not for Chigamanti. Kofe ye mulungi, tanyiza bangi, muno mu siblings. Yewe munyiza nga kale tigwe, you know.
Incident, trauma gye nafuna ku lunaku olwo ejja kulwawo kunvaako. Omwana wange ono Mukama afuumuze mirembe, Mukama yakutwa yamanyi nga bwe bagambye obulamu bwaffe yabukola ng'enta buli omu alina olutalo naye batwebaza ebirungi by'obadde okoze mu myaka egyo emimpi myaka emitono okwagala banno Brenda yabadde mobilizer of all the family.
Kenyans have petitioned the Constitutional Court challenging the actions of government to compulsorily acquire land from its citizens for projects without their approval. The petitioners say this infringes on the citizens' rights to property.
A section of lawyers in Kampala are in court challenging the Land Acquisition Act. They believe it is inconsistent with the Constitution. They claim that government's actions of seeking court orders to deposit the money as compensation to landowners before the final resolution is illegal. These include Daniel Romara and Advocacy for Natural Resources and Development and Resources Rights Africa Limited. The Attorney General of Uganda are the respondents in this petition. The advocates contend that the practice of the government land compulsory acquisition deprives them of their rights to own property and protection.
And again, ordering that the land be taken over before court reaches an adequate, before court determines that whether an adequate and fair compensation has been paid is also an infringement and inconsistent with the right to protection from deprivation of property.
Under the Land Acquisition Act of 1965, government is at liberty to compulsorily acquire land for construction of public utilities like roads, schools, hospitals, oil and gas pipeline, among others. The petitioner claimed that the Land Acquisition Act of 1965 is old and contradicts the 1995 Constitution, which provides for adequate compensation.
The refusal and delay to put into place a law that provides for fair and adequate compensation is inconsistent with the right to protection from deprivation of property. Taking over property as stipulated under the old law, the Land Acquisition Act, which provides for deposit of funds into court, and then to go ahead and take over that property before the landowner receives adequate and fair compensation is inconsistent with the right from deprivation of property as stated under Article 26.
They also contain that under the Land and Acquisition Act, citizens have to bargain for their rights and property, which they believe it's illegal.
We are seeking orders that within a year, government and its agencies, and including Parliament, there should be a law that speaks, there should enact a law for fair and adequate compensation, and that within every 3 months they must update court on the steps taken in enactment of that law.
Deborah Namamonde, Nantong Rebecca, UBC News.
Hoima residents want Uganda Wildlife Authority to compensate them for damages by wild animals. Residents say despite having registered cases of chimpanzee attacks on children, Uganda Wildlife Authority officials hardly compensate the affected families.
Angry residents in Karongo, Bujura and Chesiga wards, Hoima West Division in Hoima Oil City, have vowed to continue staging running battles against what they described as deadly chimpanzees, for which they accuse for posing a threat to human lives and causing food insecurity. The building tempers follows an incident a fortnight ago in which a chimp carried away a toddler from a house in Mwendante. However, in an attempt to rescue the toddler, the chimp dropped the baby with critical injuries, who shortly died upon arrival at Hoima Regional Referral Hospital. This is now causing growing tension between the locals and the chimps, At the moment, the residents here have launched a hunt to kill campaign of the chimps. While the tension remains in motion, local leaders and Uganda Wildlife Authority officials have convened a community meeting at Bulemwa Primary School aimed at ending the conflict. Ruth Kabayaga, Joan Nyamaizi, Bone Alituha and Nyangoma Beatrice, both residents, accused UA officials of protecting the chimps other than human beings. This to them has reduced human dignity to mere strangers in their own country, as they allege.
This is our police, very embarrassed. Titukumanya tunagire guwaki. Ebitera bino habakiri izire biti, birombingi biti, ombiro bino.
The newly elected mayor, Hoima West Division, Robert Chamohendo Ruhigwa, expressed the need to relocate chimpanzees since they do not benefit the community in any way.
So basically,
Wilson Kagoro, the community liaison officer attached to Maction Falls National Park from Uganda Wildlife Authority, however, called for calmness, saying efforts are underway to have the chimps relocated.
We need here is people to live in harmony with the animals, because these chimps, moving them, translocating them from one place to another is very difficult, because chimpanzees have a very different behavior. They live in trees, and so when you cut trees, you stress them.
He also noted that officials have been deployed to carry out community sensitization, but cautioned residents against killing the chimpanzees.
The Karimojong and investors in the region have been urged to participate in pacifying the region. The outgoing Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Engineer John Biabagambi, says this is the right time for different people to inject money in the region.
Karamoja sub-region initially was prone to insecurity, cattle rustling, poor roads, high levels of poverty and poor nutrition. However, after disarmament exercise of cattle rustlers and warriors, the region is now stable and enjoying relative peace.
It will be easier now to go to Karamoja. But when you look at the water coverage, like in Karamoja now, drinking water, I think every village has got a borehole, has got drinking water. So we have got better coverage even than other parts of Uganda.
Speaking in Karamoja, the outgoing Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Engineer John Biabagambi, makes a flashback on what the region was 10 years ago.
More than 2 days, it is now taking about 8 to 10 hours. It's a lot of improvement.
Biabagambi urged investors first understand the cultural norms of Karamojongs before investing in the region.
Educated Karamojongs who are now working at what have you, they should act as an example. Actually, the members of parliament from Karamoja, they should act as examples. They should first introduce these haifas. The haifas, what do you call them?
Meanwhile, the Dryland Development Project has done much in improving lives in the 4 districts of Moroto, Napak, Nabilatuk, and Amdat.
Under this, we have got motorized boreholes, about 12 of them. These are motorized, not the usual hand ones. And these are in 4 sub-counties of Rotome, Roro, Rongadwak, and Natunge. We have constructed 10 valley tanks. I'm happy there time when I went to hand over the ambulances. I think you visited some of the, and these have been handed over to the cooperatives that were formed under.
Over 13,000 heifers, livestock, have been distributed.
Agriculture and livestock. You know, these people, they depend on the livestock. And we are looking at how do we improve the livestock in the Karamoja to be profitable, not traditional way of doing it for married women.
The Dryland Integrated Development Project in Karamoja has improved lives of 112,470 through agriculture, rural infrastructure, business enterprise and social services like health, nutrition and education. I'm Navka Farida and Marini.
Government of Uganda through Ministry of Water has supported Karenga district with water for production. Under this program, Karenga has been given 7 water dams, with each sub-county now assured to assist farming in the usually arid Karamoja region.
Which have 10,000 cubic meters, that is 10 million liters. And then we have like this one here, which is 20,000 cubic meters, which is 20 million liters. Already in about a year or 2 years, Karenga has facilities of this nature that have taken about 3 billion shillings.
Households. And we have come up with the criteria which we're going to share with the local government, so that we realize that the impact is seen on households, so the people will be able to come.
I mean it. With these investments, we can change the economics of our people, the well-being of our people. If we have a number of farmers here, and the chairman has not given us, he would be able to tell us now so far we have these people ready. And we wouldn't be seeing this, because this is also delayed implementation.
In Kawalakol, we have got 1 in Kakwanga, and now we have 2 here in Kapedo, 2 or 3. 3 in Kapedo, yeah, 3 in Kapedo, and then we have 1 in Sangar. And all of them have the same design, and the target is for mainly animal watering. I want to thank the people of Itanya mostly. At one moment when we were identifying this, they came running with pangas, actually wanting to chase us. And we first left the place. We went to Sangar.
And we were able to come here, work together with the community to offer the piece of land at the current site. And they were able to construct this current facility.
They also formed for us groups, for us to start and also to manage this dam here, because people who are informed like us, who are in the village, who are even doing nothing, we can manage to maintain this dam here, because we have nothing to do.
On our name, the members, of course, the community cannot desilt the dam. We find, of course, water will be, of course, will be decreasing. And the most important thing to improve this, I request the Ministry of Water, at least to increase the depth to maybe from 3 meters to 4 meters.
From this program, when these things is ready, then from there, when it is ready, we sell it. Then we divide among ourselves.
(1,886) young men, both Anglicans and Catholics, were burned to death at Namugongo for their, I beg your pardon, we will have that story later on. Government of Uganda through the Ministry of Water has supported Karenga district with water for production. That is what we had previously. We thank you so much for watching. Let's take a very short break. On return, we'll have more UBC News Tonight.
Today in history.
The coronation of Elizabeth II took place on 2nd June 1953 at Westminster Abbey, London. Elizabeth II ascended to the throne at the age of 25 years upon the death of her father George VI on 6th February 1952, being proclaimed Queen by the Privy and Executive Councils shortly afterwards. The coronation was held more than 1 year later because of the tradition of allowing an appropriate length of time to pass after a monarch dies before holding such festivals. It also gave the planning committees adequate time to make preparations for the ceremony. During the service, Elizabeth took an oath, was anointed with holy oil, invested with robes and regalia, and crowned Queen of the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Pakistan, and Ceylon, present-day Sri Lanka.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Senchu points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we learn, because it's those things that bring us close together.
Government has been urged to capitalize on exports promotions in Uganda's free zone areas in order to increase the country's share of exports on the world market and create employment opportunities. This was emphasized at the swearing-in of the Uganda Free Zones Authority new board members in Kampala.
Uganda Free Zones Authority is mandated to facilitate export-oriented investment in order to balance trade and increase job creation opportunities. However, for this mandate to be realized, Uganda needs to not only utilize the gazetted free zone areas, but also commit to its industrialization agenda.
This country has a lot of good things around it. We have mangoes in West Nile and Rakai and other places. We have tomatoes in Kasese and other places. We have pineapples in Luero. We have cotton in the east. But our people are poor. And 68% of our population is not in the money economy. And the solution is with industrialization and exports.
When fully exploited, free zone areas will increase both local and foreign investment and improve on the social and economic growth of the country.
And Uganda joins other countries that have embraced export-oriented investment. Experience in many of those countries has shown that this approach of export processing zones has had significant contribution towards industrialization. Really, countries which have embraced this concept have industrialized, and of course now they are enjoying what comes with with industrialization, increased employment, economic growth, increased incomes, and so on.
The incoming board members, who include among others Dr. Godfrey Okaka from URA, Dr. Paul Chalimpa of UIA, and Annette Nakate from the private sector, have been urged to embrace teamwork in order to carry out the organization's duties.
The board of directors need to work as a team to deliver the mandate of UVSA, which is to regulate and license export processing zones and free port zones for the purpose of creating opportunities for the export-oriented investment and job creation, among others.
Some of the achievements attained by the former board members include increasing the organization's annual budget allocation by Parliament from 3.4 billion shillings to 13.9 billion shillings and providing guidance on the amendment of the Free Zones Act, among others. Charlotte Amuge and Robin Yoso for UBC News.
Uganda Bureau of Statistics has released the Uganda Household Survey 2019-20 report, indicating that Busoga region remains the highest contributor to poverty in Uganda at 18%. Others that scored poorly are Bukedea, Karamoja, and Karamoja. The report avers that majority of the people in these regions are leading a subsistence way of life.
The Executive Director at Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Dr. Chris Mukiza, has said Uganda Household Survey 2019-2020 report will help in monitoring the poverty levels, but also plan for the population by the government.
What we observe from the data is that rural households faced reduced and low food prices. The food index is very low. And it can be very dilapidating because many of these rural households are net consumers of their products. Now, if we are imputing the value of the food you have consumed and the prices are low, then your mean consumption will be low, and therefore poverty will be low.
A principal statistician who was one of the lead researchers, Vincent Fred Sendono, speaking at the release of the report, said that poverty levels increased from 19% before COVID-19 to 22% after.
Over the time, poverty has been oscillating. We saw that it was highest in 2002-2003, continued declining until 2016-2017, and has almost remained the same in 2019-2020.
The report highlights that child labor increased during COVID-19 from 21% to 36%. Majority of the population in Bukedea and Karamoja can't afford a pair of shoes and blankets, according to this report.
93%, and that is just a slower growth, meaning that there is growth in the economy. However, the rate at which it is growing slowed down due to, for example, the COVID situation. So it did not drop, it continued to grow, but the rate of growth was slower compared to the previous years' rates that we registered before.
Sarah Sewanyana, researcher at a park, says that government Operation Wealth Creation programs still don't yield much in improving the welfare of the public, and thus something has to be done.
Actually, in some of the sub-region, poverty worsened because inequality worsened in those sub-regions. So we also need to note that when we talk about poverty in Uganda, the minimum income that we are using now, the minimum income we are using is close to $1 per day per person.
Nelson Akatuhurira, UBC News.
Vipers Sports Club has qualified for the semi-finals of this year's Stanbic Uganda Cup after ejecting arch rivals SC Villa 3-1 in aggregate. SC Villa 3-1 on aggregate after a 2-0 second leg victory. Going into the second leg, the teams were tied at 1-0 after the first leg at the St. Mary's Chitende Stadium. Vipers, playing in the blue jersey, took the early initiative following a goal by Bobo Sibiaranga, whose free kick wasn't able to be saved by either the Villa goalkeeper Senkoto or defender Derek Indahiro. In the second stanza, both teams exchanged football, but Villa fell a man down after a second yellow card to Ronald Sechiganda, which was followed a few minutes later by Milton Karisa's second goal for Vipers. Vipers now join Bull FC into the quarters, where they wait for either KCCA or Express that play either quarter-final second leg on Friday. The other quarter also on Friday in a double header at the Philip Omondi Stadium, Lugogo, is Police against Wakiso Giants in a game that is 3-1 in favor of Police. That's how we come to the end of news tonight. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa with the whole team here and my colleague Senyomo Yusuf. We think it's a good night to you. Do not miss Behind the Headlines at 10 p.m. exactly with Charles Odongtho and the whole team on UBC TV. Enjoy the rest of the night. Bye-bye.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to the weather report. I'm Alitubera Juliet from Uganda National Meteorological Authority. There is a reduction in wet weather activities across the country, and from the satellite image taken over Africa, it indicates that the rain belt has shifted further the north and only benefiting the northern sector of our country. Tomorrow morning, we are expecting light rains for some areas in the lake and around the lake. We shall have sunny conditions for the rest of the country, together with sunny intervals. In the afternoon, we expect sunny intervals for the southern sector, sunny conditions for the northern. Light rains will pick up for the eastern, some parts in central and in West Nile. The maximum temperatures will rise to 32 degrees centigrade for the northern sector, Kasese 31 together with the Karamoja region. Around Lake Victoria Basin, we expect maximums to rise to 28 degrees centigrade, and for Kabale Highlands, a maximum of just 26 degrees is expected. Elsewhere on the globe, we are expecting sunny intervals for London together with Nairobi at a maximum of 25 in Nairobi. Thunder showers for New York at a maximum of 23 degrees centigrade, and for Tokyo we are expecting cloudy conditions at a maximum of 27 degrees centigrade. Thank you for keeping me company. Join us tomorrow same time. Have a beautiful Martyrs Day.
The family of Letsi Franyo Abala Rukuna and Kano Lawrence Rukuna Edema of Julue Village, Pameri Parish Sametu Sub-County Moyo District, regrets to announce the untimely death of Pasco Tadare Rukuna that occurred on 27th April 2021 in New York, USA. Burial arrangements are being made. Preparatory meetings are on Sunday, 6th June 2021 at Centenary Park, Nyamachoma Fest Restaurant. Informed are Madi Community in Kampala, Minister of Defense, Chief of Defense Forces, Permanent Secretary of Defense, Dr. Bethy Madra, Professor Faustino Orach Mensa, Honorable Dr. Joyce Moriku Kaduchu, Major General Michael Odonga, General Charles Otema Awany, Honorable Azza Alero Tom, friends, relatives, and in-laws. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Every year, thousands of pilgrims journey to Uganda at a place known as Namugongo, on the outskirts of the country's capital Kampala, to pray at the site of martyrdom for 33 Christian converts who were killed in the late 19th century. The country has set aside this day as a national day in memory of the indomitable spirit of the martyrs faced with religious persecution. This school, named after the 14-year-old Saint Kizito, the youngest of the martyrs, while camping out on the eve of the Day of the Martyrs, retraces the story of the martyrs from martyrdom to glory.
Now friends, it seems we are coming to the end of our camping and it has quite been good to me. But I suggest we can have another day tomorrow, since it's a public holiday. Yes. And I think you very well know it's Martyrs Day tomorrow. Is there any question?
Excuse me, Master.
Yes, please.
What is the Uganda Martyrs Day all about?
Oh, very good question. Uganda Martyrs Day all about. That's a very good question. I'm going to give you an answer. Is there any other before I answer that one?
Our school was named after Saint Kizito. Who was Saint Kizito?
So those are very two good questions. I'm going to begin with the first, then I'll go to the second. Our first friend asked us about Martyrs Day. Now, Martyrs Day is a day that we always celebrate every year annually in remembrance of the people who died for the faith of Christianity. Many people were executed in the days of Kabaka Mwanga under his orders because they refused to deny Christianity. Now, many of them who were executed in Namugongo, the majority of them were in Namugongo, though many were executed in different parts of the country. And every 3rd June, we celebrate that day in remembrance of those people. Now, the second question was about Saint Kizito. Now, Kizito was the youngest of all the martyrs, born in 1872 and died in 1886, making 14 years. So you can imagine how a young 14-year boy is so brave to give in his life for a faith of Christianity. So the proprietors of this school probably chose to use that name that they can build a strong faith within the children that pass through this institution of Saint Kizito, and they named it Saint Kizito High School, found in Namugongo. Is there any other question before we go on?
Isn't the story of the Uganda Martyrs a myth? Are there any true accounts that were captured and written or